I wore the white. I was the 12th man. I was giving Arsenal the the momentum. You know, we had to give them the lift. But anyways, West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. And boy, all those rival fans, City fans, yeah? Now you know how it felt. Spurs, remember? Spurs, Son through on goal. You know that Mateus Fernandes chance? That was that. He scores that. Different game. Different game. To be honest here, my head was so hot, I thought they blew for offside. But he was actually onside. The whole thing, he was fully onside. He just missed. Because I was looking at that and I was saying to myself, that's got to be offside. But anyways, it's going to be a different one because we're not going to get into, we'll get to the lineup in a second because I've got a lot to say about that. The foul. Now, I've had to just give like 10-20 minutes after the game to see everyone's discourse, to see everyone's kind of take on it. And to be honest, guys, I'll be honest, I have never been on the floor begging the screen for that to be a foul. Because to me, here's my thing. It's a foul. It's a foul. Yeah, it's a foul. It's a foul. And here's why. Guys, I'm a goalkeeper. Well, I was a goalkeeper. David Raya, yeah, the ball comes in. David Raya is not jumping, by the way. He's on standstill. So the actual fact here, he kind of gambled a little bit because if he jumps, the ball probably lands around on his chest and it can do that. Do you know keepers jump and they do that? He's on stand, right? He's standing. So he's standing and the ball's coming and it's coming like that, boom. So risky if you miss. But look, he was standing. Anyways, you can see, what's his name? It's two players. There's two key reasons why I think this is a foul. There's Todibo and there's that striker. I can't remember what his name is. And I can't remember which order they were in. But one of them has this arm right across David Raya and holding his arm like this. Now, we're not there. Only David Raya and Todibo or whoever that West Ham player was here will ever come to you and tell you how strong of a grip he had that arm. He was holding his arm. Here's the thing. He's holding his arm from what we're seeing, but I can't tell how strong he's holding it. Like, it could just be his arm is like that and he's got like that. And if it's like that, then to me, it's not enough to stop David Raya from not collecting that ball. David Raya, in a sense, has to be stronger there. But the fact that his arm is across is kind of what essentially gives the foul, because your arm is right across him and then there's the other guy pulling his shirt. There is a substantial amount of evidence to suggest that that was a foul. End of. Like, I can't sit there and tell you, for my thing is, yeah, take the shirt pull and we're just going off by the arm across, you can say that's 50-50. If we're being completely honest. Now, I'm seeing everyone saying about, Arsenal have been getting away with this, all of this. That's all shebang later, whatever. No one cares. His arm is across. I can't tell how strong of a grip he has on his arm. I can't tell because his hand is this way, right? It could just be that he's holding his arm like this. You see, like, I'm barely putting any grip, right? If I'm barely putting any grip here, I'm sorry, David Raya, you can't feel that grip here is not enough for you not to clean the ball. Assuming we're deleting the shirt pull, the shirt pull is essentially what made it conclusive. Like hand pull, like you're essentially stopping him from holding the ball, and also he's not looking at the ball as well. So it's like, guys, come on, like you're not looking at the ball, you're holding his arm, the other brother is pulling his shirt. It's a foul. But if we're just going off by, remove the shirt pull and just go off by the arm holding, I think that's what they were using for the actual decision. The arm pull is not enough. Like I'm saying, yeah, if he's holding his arm like this, barely any grip, but you see if I'm holding him like that, that's a foul because you're stopping man from, like, you can see my grip, but he barely had any grip. Like his hand, yeah, was like this, guys. I've been a goalkeeper. This sort of shenanigans happens at Sunday League all the time, where man are holding your arm and all these things, like, and even I've been able to still collect the ball, even when when someone's arm is there touching up and feeling my biceps. I need to have a look again if where his arm is, but from this still image they're showing, there's not enough grip on David Raya's arm to stop him from actually collecting the football, if we're being completely honest. But for me, the keeper is still impeded because the shirt pull, look, if you look, here's the thing, he's not going for the ball, he's looking at David Raya, the ball's coming towards him, he has no visual on that ball whatsoever, he's busy looking at David Raya, so you kind of sold yourself on that one. But anyways, yeah, so they scored, my heart went, and I was praying on David Raya to score, to get to be fouled on there. Mateus Fernandez, boy, I don't know what you done there. But anyways, let's now get back to normal situations. Now let's talk about the game. The starting lineup, fine. You've gone with what works, fine. Calafiori, this is why I don't like fullbacks there. And why is our fullback so high up? But anyways, he's high enough. My issue is that Calafiori was stuck in two minds. I don't know whether he thought he was offside, or I don't know whether he thought, I'm offside, shall I shoot, shall I square that? That needs to be square. That just needs to be square. If he's a competent finisher, or he says he was a striker, that goes near post and it's goal. Like, he takes too many touches and he essentially makes Mavropanos come and block. Once he goes across, that ball needs to go right across to Gyökeres, and that's a tap in 1-0. But he takes too many touches and then ends up being a block. We end up having a corner, hit the post. I don't know what the hell that was. There was a chance, I think I was from the same play, but Saliba, the chance drops. I don't know whether Saliba was hesitating to attack the ball or to stay put, and I was so confused why he didn't attack the ball. But he chose not to attack the ball, and the chance goes. Apart from that, I can't really think what else. Now here's where the game changed. Ben White goes off injured. Now, this is where I've always said about this manager. Decision in key moments cost us a lot of games. And this is not the first time. This was Villa Part 2. It was and it was this close. It was just the referee blowing and pointing to the right hand side and giving that goal, for us to look back at that moment and like, what was he doing? He fixed it, but it was like putting a plaster over some drainage pipe that's spilling water all different kind of angles. Like, that decision, it was this close to costing us, because White goes off injured, cool, no problem. Rice at right back. And then Zubamendi. When Zubamendi came on, I was bamboozled into what he was trying to do, because we haven't seen a midfielder at right back for so long. I completely forgot this is the kind of shit he does. Like, we've seen Partey at right back a few times, and every time Partey goes at right back, we lose. We were so in front in terms of kind of piling the pressure. We should have been 3-0. Really, we should have really scored a couple goals in the first half. But the moment Rice went at right back, we lost that balance. And I keep saying the midfield is just as integral as the front three, because that front three, to be honest with you, needs a whole makeover. We'll get to that in a second. But that midfield three that we have with Rice, Skelly, and Eze was fine. Eze, this is the thing, he hangs on the periphery of the games for too long. We'll get on to him in a second. But the moment you take Rice out of that midfield and put him onto right back and you put Zubamendi back there, we lost total control of that game. And they almost scored. There was a chance they had in the second half or the first. It was the first half. It was a header from the striker, number 11. I can't remember his name. What a save from David Raya. But the moment you put Zubamendi there, you can clearly tell his confidence is gone, and and the balance between him and Skelly just wasn't there, and we were struggling towards the end of that first half. And then come the second half, he kind of tried to change it by putting Mosquera there. Mosquera should have been there in the first place, but then Skelly went back to left back, and then he sort of fixed it, but didn't. And then Zubamendi comes off. Now, Zubamendi coming off, I'm not totally against that, because again, Zubamendi in games where it's very physical and teams are pressing us, struggles. And we've seen this a lot of times this season. When you press Zubamendi, when it's facing our goal, that's where the issues come. Zubamendi is a lot better going the other way. And that's why as a 6, I'm starting to be like, in Champions League games, it can work. Not the final though. Against like Kyra at home or something, you can get away with Zubamendi there. Zubamendi now, I'm starting to look at him and I'm starting to think he's a bit soft touch, and this is a big issue now, because I'm seeing at this morning I saw linked with Tijani Reinders. Oh boy, I would love Tijani Reinders. If he can come, by all means. But here's the thing. Zubamendi in that midfield with Skelly completely imbalanced that whole midfield, because neither player is tenacious enough here to win the ball. So you've got two players who are passive in that sense, right? And you've got an Eze who is hot and cold. You don't know how often he wants to get on the ball. You don't know how long he wants to get on the ball. And sometimes in a lot of games, the games just bypass Eze. They just bypass it's like 20, 30 minutes in. And you're wondering, where's Eze? Like, is Eze playing? And this is the same thing we got onto Odegaard for. Because as we'll get onto Odegaard in a second, but this is the kind of same thing we get onto Odegaard. So now we have to kind of apply that same principle when we're thinking about Eze. But I'm glad he's took Zubamendi off. It will not do much of his confidence a lot, being double subbed. But the game is the game. I don't think we'll see him start another game this season, Zubamendi. I think that's it for him this season. I don't think he'll start in the Champions League. I think that the lineup for the Champions League will be what we're seeing today with Skelly and Rice. And I'm not sure about Eze. It's a toss-up between Eze and Odegaard. He might go for Odegaard in there, or he might go for Eze. I'm not entirely sure, but I think he's starting to realise that Zubamendi may not be the player that he thought he was. Another guy he's completely messed up in the midfield, and the midfield balance, we keep saying, is a big issue. I've said it in a lot of previews. You don't play Zubamendi and Rice together. You play either or, and then when you take Rice out and you put Zubamendi in there, it can work, but in certain games, because now you're having Skelly do essentially the Rice job, and Skelly hasn't got the engine to win the ball and drive forward. Skelly's very good at receiving the ball under pressure and driving forward. He's not good at trying to win the ball. He's not a ball winner. He can draw fouls and push us forward, and that's what he does very well. And actually, putting him at left back, we still had some bit of control because we had a midfielder essentially playing at left back, so it was good. But come this summer, we need another left back because the last thing I want to see is Skelly going at left back. He needs to be our 8 now, going forward. And yeah, I'm not sure what happens with Zubamendi, but it seems like his confidence is completely shattered. And to be honest, it may just be one of those things where, yeah, I don't know what happens with me. Putting Zubamendi back and taking Rice at right back almost cost us, but it didn't. And I'm hoping he doesn't do that foolishness again, because that game was very close to going the other way. Because they had one chance with the striker, number 11, in the first half, and then the same thing in the second half. In terms of our front three, Gyökeres didn't really do much. He done what he needed to do. His hold-up play is becoming a lot better now. The ball's not bouncing off him or travelling 100 yards away from him. Like, he's actually starting to become a serious focal point for us, which is what I've always criticised him for. And now that he's actually being a focal point, it's bringing actual value to our front three. Saka was very poor, very sloppy touches. There was one point where the ball went in behind the 2 centre backs. Obviously, it was offside, but the touch, he needs to work on his touch a little bit more. He was poor as well. Trossard, yeah, this is the Trossard that we saw in December. He's come in clutch for a lot of the games, and this is why I've always said, if it's between Trossard and Martinelli, I'm keeping Trossard. I just am. Odegaard, no sure Odegaard. Look, that's what you call a proper assist. Beats a couple players, holds the ball up really nicely, and creates that perfect weighted pass to Trossard, and Trossard, it's a simple finish to Trossard. But that assist, that weighted pass here will go unnoticed because it's Odegaard. Like, I'm a big fan of Odegaard, but obviously there's games where he doesn't turn up, he doesn't show up, or we barely notice his presence. But it's those little efforts that go a very, very long way. And Odegaard, what a play. David Raya, man of the match, because without you, that would have been a completely different game. Now, before the game, I said we should beat West Ham, purely based on the fact that they give you a lot of the ball and they're not a front foot team. Nonetheless, we made that look a lot more difficult. When I was hitting 80 minutes, I was like, it's going to be 0-0. And the last thing we need to do is enter a shootout with City, because that's not what we want. Now, we just have to deal with our job. We now have to beat Burnley with a comfortable goal difference, just as an insurance policy, because the Palace game, there's something unairy about that Palace game that I'm just not liking. And there's a lot too much focus on Oliver Glasner and what he's doing. But we just need to go there and do our job. Beat Palace, and we're there. We're pretty much there. But yeah, is the title done? Absolutely not. Arsenal, tranquilo. We've been here before. 2 games left. That's all now. We just now need to do our job. We got Burnley at home next, and Palace to finish the season off. Let's get the job done. It's not done yet. We got another week, and hopefully at home at the Emirates, it can be a much more calming game, because I'm not sure how long or how many games I've got in me to be doing that, because boy. But yeah, we weren't great in a lot of spells, but we rose to the opportunity when it came to us with Odegaard, and a little bit of individual brilliance effectively won us the game. And at that point, that's what you need. And I feel like with West Ham, are they down? Absolutely, they're gone. But their kind of game was, to hold off Arsenal to the 80th minute and essentially play percentage football. And it almost worked for them. It almost worked for them. We got to get switched on, yeah, because that Burnley game, guys, if you remember back in 2020, we lost to these guys. Obviously, it's a different game now, so let's just go out there and do our job against Burnley, win against Burnley, and then yeah, Palace away, and then that's it. But yeah, David Raya, man of the match for me. Odegaard and Trossard, fair fucking play to both of you, because you both turned up when it mattered the most.